Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz and I will be guiding you on this journey. We have a couple decks and as always, we're going to ask for consent from the deck that we're going to use for these readings because, we want to be sure that the deck even has a message, that it has the energy to give us a message. So I basically just shuffle until a yes or a no card comes out. And this is a deck that I was looking for. And it was like way in the back of this one shelf that I have all of my decks on that I've been kind of transferring to this other shelf. Anyway, in the process of finding it, a couple other decks went flying. So that was fun. I'm like, I know I'm not going through all of this just for you to say no to me. So, which it has the freedom to do. So, anyway, I was like, what am I talking about? I've been kind of doing a little disclaimer at the beginning, just so we're all on the same page. We have the star. That's a yes card. Okay, good. So, we'll save these two decks for another time. So yeah, disclaimers. I'm not a psychic. I'm certainly not claiming to be, but I know these cards and my intention is to give you the message as it is coming through on the card and as it's coming through for me. I always set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. So however which way and as many different times that comes through, I do like to explain the message of each card because not only does it help me process my thoughts, but you have your own intuition. You're the one that's living your life. So no doubt you are going to receive your own message. Now, of course, be discerning. Don't try to fit a small peg into a round hole. Really listen to that distant voice, not the loud one, not that loud one that most of us have, but the one for me, it's always like off to the right back of my head. And, it's literally, it's like just, it's neutral. It's confident. It's like, it's free of, ego, emotion, all the things, right? So that is the voice that we want to tap into, even if we sometimes don't like what it is saying. Of course, if you haven't already, I would absolutely adore you. Well, I adore you anyway, but I would adore you even more if you subscribe to my channel. Truly, it is an energy exchange. And of course it helps me grow. So it's, just this circle of, growth, because hopefully these messages are affirming or confirming for you, because sometimes too, we just need to have confirmation or affirmation that what we think is going on is actually going on. And that way it frees up the mind space. It frees up our energetic space to be able to focus on the next thing. And truly, I do think that at least the messages that I give are more so along those lines, so that you can be like, oh, okay, that is actually happening. So what's next, right? Like, what do I want to do with this? What can I now focus my time, my energy, my everything on, instead of like staying in this this loop of, is this happening or no? And with all that being said, I know I also didn't get around to the human design profile readings last time around. Life, we roll with it. So hopefully I'll be able to get around to those this time, because I'm sure those were missed. And okay, let's get into the reading. Cancer. I'm doing this actually on the day that Jupiter goes into Cancer. So, June 9th, how was that for you? I am a Cancer rising. And honestly, it's been a little bit of a shit show. I'm kind of like, what is happening here? However, though, I am handling it very well. So I think that's a win. And I mean, truly, it's probably at like 0 or like 1 degrees. So like, what, just relax, you know? But also, let's not forget the fact that Neptune and Saturn are sitting at also the first degrees of Aries, which is, squaring Cancer. So, squares are tension. My favorite astrologist, Meg, with the, she's the X-Spot astrologist. And I think we met in an astrology course that we took together, and it was Heather, the instructor, that said this. I just hear it more often from Meg. But squares are stairs. So, just kind of using that tension to bolster growth. And Jupiter is a planet of expansion. So, just again, keep that in mind as far as like Saturn goes, discipline, boundaries, hard work, delay, maybe sometimes a little bit. We have the two of what? 2 of Cups. Okay. This is going to be fun. I haven't used this deck in probably over a year. It might have been 2023. So this is going to be fun. And then Neptune, the planet of, like illusions and maybe a little delusion and whimsical and confusion even a little bit. But even with all of that, like, I kind of got this thing of like expanding your imagination, truly expanding what you believe to be possible, because truly, like, what is that saying? We are only limited by our own imagination. Also, before I absolutely forget, happy birthday to Cancer. I know Cancer season is still a little ways away, but ahead of time, happy birthday. So we have the 2 of Cups, the Queen of Swords, one more maybe. I'm loving this already. Ten of something. Oh. 10 of Wands. I know. Thank you. And it came out sideways. We're going to keep it that way. Isn't this interesting, though, how it looks like there's like this person giving this whale a hug? I'm going to grab my laptop because I want to see what the symbolism for a whale is. So let me move some of these decks out of the way. I'm going to go grab my laptop. I'll be back in a flash because I'll delete the part where I'm gone so you won't even know. Okay, let's see. Whale. Totem. Even though I know it's like way at the end, I just want to have this like pulled up. Okay. And I wanted to find the booklet. Sometimes I'll read out of it, sometimes I don't, but I like having it around just in case the feeling arises, you know? Now we're all set up. Jeez. Okay, so Two of Cups, Queen of Swords, Ten of Wands, the World card at the bottom of the deck. Page of Pentacles, maybe? Six of Swords. Eight of Wands. Okay. Thanks for not judging me for figuring out, like having to figure out what suit these cards are. Aren't they gorgeous though? I love them. Okay. So, Two of Cups. I love that we're starting with the Two of Cups. I mean, there's clearly a focus or an energy around connection. However that looks for you, because, you know, I mean, it certainly could be connecting with other people. It could be connecting with yourself, as in your inner child, your inner parts, right? I mean, we all have multiple inner children, you know. So it certainly can be that. I mean, of course, kind of take it how it resonates, especially like I was saying too, like with Jupiter going into your first house, if you are Cancer rising. I mean, of course, depending on wherever Cancer is, you might just have a burst of energy or focus in that house. Especially if you do whatever planets you do have there, whether it is your sun, whether it is your moon, your whatever, your rising. It's interesting too that the card that came out when we were asking for consent basically was a star card, and there's a couple big stars here. There's a couple moons on here as well, which, you know, I mean, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this definitely, it does seem very personal. Maybe it is too, like where you fit in as far as other people go. Even, you know, there's these two birds on here, and it feels like they are not necessarily, I mean, I want to say comforting each other. It could be even like nurturing, which is a big Cancer thing. But what is the word though that I am actually looking for? Is it comforting? Encouraging, soothing? No, I'm like looking at synonyms for comforting. Consoling? I feel like it does start with a C, whatever word I am looking for. Maybe comfort covers that. Right? Like we have this one bird, this other bird kind of seems to be like hugged into this bird, which, you know, again, it could be nurturing. It could be comfort, safety, almost like safe space, safe place type of thing. So again, you know, I mean, it could even be finding somebody who you find comfort in, or it is comforting to be around them, or you feel safe with them, or just a place where truly you can just be. That could be, of course, like within yourself, like finding that acceptance, that comfort, like within yourself, making your environment, mind, body, spirit, safe. Very, like vagal nerve, nervous system, reparenting type of thing. So cups have to do with our emotions, how we're feeling about ourselves, how we're feeling about our lives, about the people in our lives. It's love and our relationship to it. How do you give it? But more importantly, how do you receive it? Which I feel is very, very much like part of what is happening in this card too. Love, which I guess, if you are offering somebody comfort, that is an act of love, right? Having the capacity, the space, the energy, to do that. And like I said, I think before, the Two of Cups does talk about shared values. It does generally involve another person or another energy. We start with the Ace of Cups, where finally, or again, our cup is full. It's overflowing. We have the capacity, the energy, the desire to share that, right? Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You certainly can, and I know most of us have, but it only causes harm to you more so, and to other people too. But we're talking about you. So yeah, again, just having this focus on other people, maybe too, like maybe you want to even start connecting with other people again, or just a different set of person or people. Maybe just finding people who are more in alignment with you, making connections with people who are on the same page, or at least are reading the same book. And too, again, because it said, I think I said, shared values. Not like echo chamber type shared values, but they get it and you get it too. And I think that's also like where the comfort comes from. Okay. All the neighborhood. One of them is still going. So hopefully that's not super duper annoying. Ideally, it would be great if you couldn't even hear them, but I feel like that's impossible. So, okay. Also, like, while I was sitting here listening to all the dogs bark, I also kept getting this feeling of mother in this card, because this could be a mom and baby bird. Honestly, the more that I look at it, I don't think so, but it kept coming through to me about mother. So again, even if it is like mothering yourself, if it has something to do with your relationship with your mother, if you have one, or even unpacking that, or even like offering support to a friend, a peer, somebody else, that it almost kind of activates, or it's coming from a maternal type of place. I think that also just goes along with like the nurturing element. And like, I have these robins that have a nest in a tree in my backyard. And um, for days, the little babies, like every 10 or 15 minutes, you would hear them chirping. And I'm like, man, truly, all day, all night, not all night, but until I like stopped kind of paying attention or moved away from that door where I could hear them. But every 10 or 15 minutes, the parent robin uh, was bringing them worms or whatever. And I'm like, man, that's what they do all day. They're just out there searching for worms to bring back to their little babies, which, like when you think about that, right? It is like giving yourself, giving a relationship, and however that relationship is, whether it's a platonic relationship, a business relationship, of course, a romantic relationship, even a stranger, right? Just kind of like giving it what it needs, right? It's like fostering it, but like fostering a relationship. On the emotional side of things, though, right? Like vulnerability, again, even having the emotional capacity to give that to somebody else and making connections with people who are equally capable, mature, able to give you that same emotional nurturing or attention. Because last thing I'll say about the Two of Cups, because I realize like we're still talking about the Two of Cups. The thing about the Two of Cups for me is that it is very reciprocal. Like both parties come to the table, right? The table is already established, so we're not even going to get into the what do you bring to the table, like that. But they come to the table. We'll carry on with that. With their own cup. Not only that, but their own full cup. So the expectation isn't for you to pour from yours so that theirs are, now equal to yours. Right? So now you have, like, you're not being poured into, you're the one that's pouring out, right? So with the Two of Cups, both parties come with their full cup. They know how to refill their own cup. They know how to pour from their own cup. So do you. So it's not exhausting. This card invites you to value and to love the nurturing aspects of your partner and encourages you to practice those virtues within yourself. Practice respectful love, and don't forget that showing that love for yourself first is key. Because what does RuPaul say? If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Truly, though. And I think even just by this card showing up first, you have discovered that aspect of yourself, or it has been a priority for you to learn how to, and not even that, but prioritize your own self-care, your own love. And do not accept anything less from anybody else. And then we have the Queen of Swords. Swords have to do with our mindset, our belief systems, truth, honesty, intellect. Anything really having to do with the mind. I also see swords as being the suit of ego, because that's generally where we tend to hear our ego, is in our minds. And that's what I was saying, like in the intro, like don't listen to the loud voice, listen to the one that's a bit more quiet, but also neutral. But yeah, so for me also, like, swords have to do with ego, because that's generally, speaking of mind, I keep like losing my train of thought around. So our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, circumstances, emotions, right? It becomes our belief system. It becomes the filter that creates our reality, and that creates our personality and our temperament, right? It becomes the reasons why we do and don't do things in general. So with the queens, I see the queens as being when we embody the energy of the suit ourselves. We learn to work with it. We learn to recognize it. We learn to master it. And the Queen of Swords is usually depicted as being kind of like a cold bitch, which, okay. But they depict her that way because you cannot bullshit the Queen of Swords. She is only interested in the truth. She, in the sense that it's a queen, but it's not gender related, right? It's just the energy. So it could even be, of course, like discovering what your truth is. I love that there's this eye, to me, like, and I keep looking at it, and it feels like higher consciousness, divine truth. It's kind of giving me like third eye crown area, and she has her eyes closed. She's not even holding her sword in a threatening or, any type. Usually the queen is like holding the sword like, okay, I'm ready to cut through literally anything that comes in front of me that is not true. I'm just going to cut through the shit. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the patience. But their eyes are closed. And again, like this, to me, it feels like higher consciousness, inner truth, intuition too, because of course, like when you take your sight away, right? Like you have to rely on your inner guidance. You have to start relying on the other senses around you too. And to me, this really does feel like showing up authentic, showing up truly, going for the things that are in alignment. Like, what is your truth right now? What is true for you in regards to other people or other the relationships that you either currently have or have had? Is this a crane too? I kind of want to look up. Actually, let me see. I wonder if the book says, let's see, beside a Saras crane. Okay, let me see. Is that like real? Aha. It is real. Haha. It is real. Not fucking Israel. Okay. Let's see. Interesting. The Saras crane is revered symbol of a happy marriage, devotion, and good fortune. It is seen as a representation of unconditional love and devotion. The elaborate mating dances, blah, blah, blah. Which, interesting, that we have the Two of Cups out here too. The elaborate mating dances of Saras cranes, I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly, are also a significant cultural aspect, once believed to be a mating ritual, but now observed in all seasons. These dances include leaping, bowing, and calling in duet, are a form of celebration and connection. health, healing, and rewards. Let's see what this says. Longevity, good fortune, communication, grace, and elegance, migration, patience, healing. Yeah, I mean, it's just this feeling of like an inner certainty or like an inner confidence. And that could be because of honoring your own truth. And not only that, discovering, accepting what your truth is. And that could have been through inner child work, right? Because I think like a lot of that gets zapped out of us. Just life, heartbreak, trauma, societal, cultural, capitalism, like all of the things, right? And then it's like having to find your way back, like to yourself. Even true, interesting. Even to maybe your values around relationships have changed. The things that you do value in a person, in a connection, in a job, in a friendship, within yourself. Like that certainly could have changed as well. Just because like you were doing the inner work. And it's also even considering like really taking stock of, when you're experiencing life, right? And maybe you're making connections, you're meeting people, you're maybe even showing up in spaces of community or having a desire to do so. It's this self-reflection because again, eyes are closed. They have this, let's see, does it even say? Her eyes are closed, indicating that her power derives from inner focus. However, an open eye hovers above her palm, symbolizing her ability to see through all lies and illusions. Yeah, it's like trusting yourself, trusting what you know to be true of yourself. Also, even allowing the truth of other things to unfold for you. Because they will in due time. What else does it say? The Queen of Swords is the embodiment of intellect and truth, mature, wise, and compassionate, but never lets emotions cloud her judgment. If the Queen appears in a reading, it may be an opportunity to use hard logic to seek out the truth. So it's interesting that we have this Two of Cups here, which, is about emotionally connecting with another person, even, being vulnerable. But with the Queen of Swords, it is more about authentically and truthfully, honestly making those connections and also wanting those connections to be true and honest also. But I love too the focus or the emphasis on really honing into your own intuition. I mean, you're Cancer, right? I mean, like, of course you're intuitive, like, honor that. And then we have the 10 of Wands that did come out sideways. Wands have to do with the actions that we take. It's fire. The motivation behind the actions that we take. It's creativity, passion, desire, right? And how are you communicating those things? What actions are you taking towards those things? The 10 of anything is a completion. And generally speaking, the 10 of Wands is about the end of a burden. Now, I also see Wands as being information by way of experience, because that's generally what we get by trying things. Right? Like, we figure out what works, we figure out what doesn't work, what do we like, what don't we like. And truly, the majority of things we have to try in order to figure out if we do really like them or not. It's one thing to think, it's another thing to do. Like, I always kind of give the example, like, do you know how many hobbies I have picked up? And I was like, I bought hundreds of dollars worth of shit because I was convinced that it was going to become my new personality, and I was going to do it day in and day out, and become this master crafter, whatever it was. And some things tried, hated, absolutely hated. Other things tried, loved it. Some things I thought I was going to hate, I tried it and I'm like, this actually isn't that bad. But right? Like, and then you kind of start figuring out, well, I don't really like this element or this aspect of it, so I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. And I'm going to make it more, fit into something that I do like. But again, right? I mean, like, you really do have to try. And you pick up lessons. That's all wisdom. It's skill building too, which can feel like a burden. It could be burnout. It could be really kind of like overloading your plate. Just having too many plates spinning at the same time, where again, it feels overwhelming, and it almost like creates anxiety versus excitement. So also too, it's about delegating or prioritizing certain things so that you don't get to a point where now it's not fun. Now it feels like a burden and you don't want to do any of that shit. But again, with it being a 10, it is a completion. And like I said, I love that there's like this. Do I love it? Well, whatever, I said it. Because like now that I'm looking at it upright, I'm like, are we holding on a little bit too tight to burden? Like, is there something that we are like refusing to let go of because it's the process that we usually put ourselves through? So it's like familiar. And yeah, it sucks, but also this is the way I've always done it. And it's always worked out, in my favor, to my benefit. Yeah, sure. But it's interesting because I was saying, like, now it's become something that is not fun. Now it's like, I just want to get through this so that I can get through it and be on the other side of it where it's worked out already. Like it's like, I hate to kind of throw that, like, the destination isn't the point, it's the journey. But I mean, the journey is the plot, right? Like, I mean, the destination, of course, is like the overarching whatever, like it's the goal, right? But the journey is the plot. And how are you gonna share your story if you like totally blast through, or you were like pissed and miserable the whole time on the journey? Because instead of prioritizing things, or instead of taking some plates off the spinny thing, for the time being, you're just like, no, fuck it, I'm just gonna do as many as I can and be stressed out and be anxious. You know what I mean? It's a choice. It's, it's a choice. The book says burden, hard work, stress, achievement. So, that's the thing, right? It's like, yes, there's burden, there's hard work, there's the anxiety, but also, though, the reasons why, like, that the cycle continues is that there was achievement, there was like success through it. But I'm just saying, like, it did come out sideways. We're gonna read both the upright and the reverse, like, meaning, but even like, again, with these arms being around it, it's like holding on at the detriment, like, to yourself. A humpback whale swims through the silhouette of a body embraced by arms. The tens of tarot represent the completion of a cycle. This 10 suggests that you are finally reaping the rewards after investing a great deal of effort. There is a strong sense of responsibility with this card, for while there is fulfillment and energy, there is also new burdens. The dream is no longer a lofty idea, but a concrete reality that requires a lot of hard work. You may feel overworked and stressed, and this card urges you to figure out a more long-term way of dealing with these challenges, perhaps delegating tasks as necessary. The reversed meaning says the Ten of Wands reversed indicates that you are unnecessarily holding on to a burden that is no longer serving you. Do not take on more than you can handle and be wary of doing work for others at the expense of your own happiness. If you are going through a challenging time, the Ten of Wands foretells a coming release of a negative cycle. So yeah, both. Right? And I mean, if it because we have the Two of Cups, we have the Queen of Wands, it may even just be approaching relationships differently. How? Bro, I don't know. It could be, of course, like following your intuition. Honoring any red flags when they come up right away instead of being like, well, are they red or orange? It could also even be too that trusting that you don't have to struggle, you don't have to put yourself through the ringer, you don't have to like overburden yourself in order to see the fruits of your labor. That feels like what is the actual message. Because again, right, like if we are approaching things in a way that is old, no matter what, like sure, it worked, but also like it worked for whatever mindset you were in at that time. And I feel like that is changing here. So if you find yourself kind of falling back into old patterns of behavior, old like ways of thinking, then I think it would be a great idea for you to stop, take a breaky poo, like separate yourself from it, put it down for a second, and ask yourself if you are reacting to it in a way that you would have reacted before, but is no longer in like alignment with where you're at now and where you want to go and how you want to think of things, approach things, because I do think that is changing. And especially, I mean, we have the World card at the bottom of the deck. So a true cycle, like a big cycle coming to an end. There's like these two big chunks of literally the earth breaking off here, releasing something, even if that, like when stress comes up, instead of reacting again, I'm just going to repeat myself because it came up in my head this way. It's like instead of reacting in a way that you would have before, however that looks like to you, maybe you just sit in a comfy chair and breathe for 10 seconds and ask yourself, like, where is the stress coming from? Where is the anxiety coming from? Why am I having this reaction to this situation? Right? And then be like, okay, knowing what I know, right? Like, what would be an honest, truthful reaction or like next step for me to do? Can I respond differently than I would have in the past? Can I not respond right away? Can I give it a second, right? Like, especially if you take off like a rocket energetically, right? Like you take off like a rocket, just wait until your proverbial, your metaphorical, whatever, like feet touch the ground again. Oh, also the whale totem, strength, power, and emotional depth. In many cultures, whales are associated with wisdom, spiritual connection to the natural world, and the ability to navigate life's journey. longevity. That word has come up with a crane too. Peace. Inner voice, which the Queen was talking about, the Queen of Swords was talking about. Understanding the impact your emotions have on your everyday life. I think that is also, and even, the actions that you take, what you consider to be burdensome, because that's going to be different for everybody. So like, what can you take off your plate? Like, what can you also like trust to work out for your highest good without you having to control or feel burdened by it. I know I keep going back to that card. Isn't it like with the World card? I keep looking at, these are all the fixed signs here, right? Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus. They're the ones that are in like the middle of the seasons, kind of like the bridges, security, stability. So yeah, it is interesting that there's these two big chunks of literally, is that the Earth? Whatever planet that is, breaking off. And to me, it really, I feel like we were even talking about that, in the sense of like, what is no longer serving you, let it go. Like almost to like trust yourself to react to things differently, trust yourself to approach things differently, like trust that the way that you want to do something, the way even that you want to approach relationships or community, whatever connection, if it is different than the way that you have done it, like trust that you'll work the kinks out, you'll figure it, you'll iron out the wrinkles, right? Like, it's new. Of course it's going to be messy and annoying at first, like every new thing is, but trust that you will find the truth. Like, trust that you will, whatever it is that is trying to be released or that is ready to be broken off from you, let it go, And I just got this like image in my head of losing a tooth, like when you're a kid, not when you're an adult, but like when you're a kid, and usually like when you do lose another tooth, like there's already one coming in, right? Or you just trust that it's going to be replaced with another tooth. So that's like the same thing that's kind of happening here. To me, is that like whatever is falling away is making room for the new thing to grow, to come in for you. But we got to let it go first. And again, trust that that new thing will show up. So it's that the world says full circle, completion, fulfillment, accomplishment. From a surge of stardust and heat, the world is born in the void. Although the world signifies the completion of a journey, project, or cycle, it also holds promise of new beginnings. The 4 signs in the corners, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio, are symbolic of the 4 elements, as well as a cycle of seasons. The world's presence in a reading often heralds the end of a long, arduous process, so let this be a sign that closure is near. Take time to reflect on all that was lost, gained, learned, and created during this period of your life. Yeah, definitely like very like growth vibes. And maybe that does have to do with other people in whatever capacity that means for you. So I'm going to leave it there because I feel like, how long has this even been? Which is fine, but if you've made it this far, thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.